drought, famine, disease, and war will sweep the world. Nation will fight nations, and the larger will destroy the smaller. The doctrines of materialism will overwhelm our minds and drive them to struggle for their own selfish end. The lust for power and wealth will prevail over teachings of compassion and truth. It's the Shambhala prophecy from 700 CE.
Abraham.
We've been following you for months now. Years, in fact. We know where you've been and who you've met. In fact, we know everything about you. We have your dossier. And now, we have you. So tell us, what is this Shangri-La thing? Our intel says it's Shambhala. At first, we thought it was a myth, a fantasy. But now we have reason to believe that you are proposing an alternative power structure. One that could threaten the security of the global supremacy we all know and love.
Let me tell you a story about searching for a place called Shangri-La. You may not believe in it, especially at a time like this when the world is in chaos. Maybe you don't think it exists, but if determined, you can certainly try and look for it. Maybe you'll be surprised at what you find. It's at times like these that people search for Shangri-La. In 2002, I ended my career as a financial lawyer working for Fortune 500 multinational companies for ethical reasons.
The ancestral code of fundamental principles to take care of the water.
The people around the corner who are negotiating our future are from another generation. Their disregard for the environment and damage to communities and cultures were my main concerns. As a lawyer, I was an insider and could see how management manipulated stock prices for their own benefit, not for the shareholders they were supposed to represent. People and environment were totally disregarded. As a lawyer, I could not facilitate these interests anymore, so I decided to search for Shangri-La, which we found out is really Shambhala. The expeditions received the National Geographic Air and Water Conservation Award for raising awareness of our climate crisis. Do you have a problem with that or something? Shangri-La was first coined by James Hilton in his novel Lost Horizons, published in 1933. The novel became enormously popular and even one of Hollywood's first blockbuster movies in 1937. So ask yourself, why was it so popular?
A las mujeres nos ha costado mucho tener visibilidad. Creo que si tuviera que dar un consejo, sería el perderle el miedo al error. Creo que es de ahí de donde surgen las mejores ideas.
Why was it so popular? Following the Spanish flu pandemic in 1920, and then the extensive over-leveraging of financial markets, everything fell apart. The world was experiencing the Great Depression, where people lost all hope in capital markets, materialism, and the ability of Western governments to cope with crisis. So they turned to Asian mysticism and visions of a harmonious society with a common, shared destiny as presented in the concept of Shangri-La. In Tibetan, it's pronounced Shambhala. That's where your intel messed up.
We in the agency believe that all this talk of a future kingdom of Shambhala is a threat to our global supremacy. So what is this Shambhala? Some rival power structure, a nation, a kingdom? What is it?
Shangri-La is a misspelling of Shambhala. While appearing in ancient Hindu literature, it had evolved over thousands of years to become a core concept of Vajrayana Buddhism. The concept of Shambhala became absorbed into many Himalayan cultures and ethnic groups. It is well understood from Pakistan, India, Nepal, Bhutan, and of course across the Tibetan regions of western China. The narrative goes like this. The first Kalki king of Shambhala, Chandra, learned the Kala Chakra practices and brought them to Shambhala, where they were kept and preserved ever since. In quantum physics, the theory of unified quantum field pierces through time and space and brought it back to Shambhala. Roughly 2,400 years later, someone named Einstein tried to figure this out using limited tools of understanding available to the academic circles of the time. What he came up with was the theory of relativity and special relativity. Physicists are still working on it, but cannot get their mind around the concept that time and space actually do not exist at all. Meanwhile, in the realm of Shambhala, all that physics theory doesn't bother anyone, because everyone practices Kala Chakra, the wheel of time that allows one to move the mind beyond compression coordinates of time and space, and therefore everyone in Shambhala takes a quantum view of everything. That means we are part of a universal matrix that is interconnected and that everyone's action is deeply integrated with an outcome that will affect everyone else. Because in the realm of Shambhala, time does not exist. Retrocausality and instances of auspicious coincidence become a normal part of the galactic perceptions shared by the citizens of Shambhala.
In the 1920s, one of our agencies sent someone named Nicholas Roerich to find Shambhala. We did not receive the kind of information we wanted at the time. Then others went looking for it. You've been exploring the Himalayas for decades. We are expecting your cooperation in revealing what you have observed.
Sure. Roerich's expeditions have been an inspiration to explorers of the Himalayas like me for decades. It was the early 1920s. Several imperial Western nations launched expeditions exploring the Himalayas, searching for the hidden kingdom of Shambhala. The Russian mystic Nicholas Roerich was sent to the Himalayas by American Vice President Herbert Hoover and was ironically accompanied by a Soviet secret agent, Yakov Blomkin, in 1926 and 1928. The German Reich sent Heinrich Himmler and Rudolf Hess on expeditions to Tibet in 1930, 1934 through 35, and 1938 through 39. For each imperial power, America, Russia, Germany, the objective was the same: to reach Shambhala.
Why? What does this place called Shambhala have that everyone wants so badly?
Shambhala is where the Kala Chakra teachings purest, most quintessential form. These imperial powers wanted those teachings, and they wanted them badly.
Why?
These Western imperial nations were craving raw power. They wanted to control minds. They misunderstood the teachings of Shambhala. The Kala Chakra teachings are not about controlling minds. They're about liberating them. Actually, your agency is trying to control minds through algorithms and social media. You're fostering hatred across societies through your capital market social media platforms, supported with government debt buybacks that will ensure the economic certainty of people for generations to come. Even the music you promote on the platforms is all about anger, hate, and materialism. You are programming hate and jealousy into people's minds. You think actually the negative karma earned from this cannot be paid.
It doesn't matter who you are, you should have the opportunity to explore nature.
Back in eons of time. So let's now talk about debt markets and what they really mean.
Enough! Tell us what Rorik discovered.
Through Rorik's expeditions, he discovered that Shambhala is not about controlling the mind. It's about freeing the mind. Ultimate power is to free the mind. Nothing else. Only when you free the mind can the true mechanics of natural phenomena be understood. The answers to quantum physics become apparent. Then there is no need to research the science of splitting atoms and making bombs. Because there's nothing to destroy after you've destroyed the prison of your own mind.
You are not cooperating with us. We want to know what you have observed on your expeditions. What is going on in Shambhala?
Everyone in Shambhala practices Kala Chakra through a very strict and complex set of body-mind exercises. The Kala Chakra trains our mind to step out from the structured context of rational linear thought. Only this way can universal phenomena be fathomed. Simply put, it trains our mind to think in the context of quantum physics rather than classic Newtonian physics. In the end, even Newton himself realized that quantitative reasoning could not explain universal phenomena.
We need your cooperation. You have two paths. One is to reveal the technologies of Shambhala so that we can develop our nuclear warhead drones, our space force, and stop Huawei's 5G. The other is to keep telling us this new age stuff. One path has a future, one does not.
Okay, I'll try to reveal the science of it all. The Kala Chakra teachings explain the theory of relativity and special relativity more clearly and profoundly than Einstein himself ever imagined. The German and Russian physicists of his time were actually drawing upon Tibetan sources, including Kala Chakra, to form their theories. However, because they were only using the rational mind and forced language of mathematical formulas to interpret much broader and unfathomable phenomena. They could rationalize concepts, but could not comprehend them in their entirety. Einstein said, time and space is curved. Tibetans say, past, present, future, and then no time. To say that time is curved is just too elementary. Time and space are endless, yet entangled within themselves with no beginning and no end. Einstein's theory does not even begin to touch the meaning of time and space. Actually, neither exists at all.
Are you trying to challenge the very theories that helped us build the atomic bomb and maintain global order? We are looking for technology, not this new age gibberish.
Okay. Let me try again. Time and space are not understood by coordinates. Time and space are concepts made by us to feel comfortable. We deem day and night as separate. Actually, they are inseparable parts of a single whole, from which hours are artificially clocked. We are so afraid of being alone in the darkness of the universe without coordinates that we have to create them. We need something to hang on to, some sense of going forward in a linear line, a progression. But maybe there is no line at all. It is an illusion, and we are just deluding ourselves. We make a line because we feel safe in walking this line. Kala chakra practice helps us to step off of this line and enter into a seeing, irrational way, which means that we're realizing reality is all about. We begin to see things differently, or more exactly as they are, not as we want them to be, or thought they were supposed to be. Time and space is only a concept, a mere mirage of our thoughts. What are thoughts? Where's the mind?
The mind is here. Our technology is now able to replicate the mind with computers, artificial intelligence. With big data and AI, we can create minds that work faster than robotics. Soon we will have robotic armies that can fight. They can fight when programmed with big data. They don't need minds.
Today we did fractions. It was really fun. I like fractions.
At the end of the day, you wonder, who's caring for who?
Woke up this morning to somebody in a video talking about something I posted in a video. Fame is pretty new, but I've been used to people judging me. That's why I move the way I move and why I'm so in love with me.
Minds.
In Western thinking, the mind must be located in the brain or head. In Tibetan culture, it's located in the heart. Regardless, from a human perspective, it must be somewhere, right? But actually, the mind may not be in the body at all. Our body is about 70% water and 30% electromagnetic fields held together by water molecules.
Are you trying to tell us that the body does not actually hold the mind?
When you detach the mind from the body, You are in a state of natural phenomena. Time, space, past, present, and now cease to exist. That's what we're doing in Shambhala, is training the mind.
Shambhala, sí.
Shambhala is the most advanced intergalactic quantum physics research laboratory. Everyone in Shambhala is practicing quantum physics. That is why all those Western imperial nations were trying to get there in the 1920s and 1930s. They could see the collapse of global finance and the coming of World War II. So they all wanted some superpower formula and the quantum physics needed for splitting atoms and making bombs. They knew that quantum physics could explain things that traditional science was trying to understand but couldn't quite grasp because it was approaching phenomena from the perspective of rational deduction and not quantum entanglement. Einstein said, take religion out of science.
No.
I say it's time to put spirituality
Yes.
Enough of this mind game stuff. Now tell us, after all of your Himalayan expeditions, where is this place called Shambhala?
No.
That's what I've been trying to tell you. Shambhala cannot be found with the rational mind. Only when you break social barriers and rational constructs can we begin to find Shambhala. You don't need the physical manifestation of electrical devices to communicate, because the power to communicate is within your mind. You don't need weapons to fight. The power to fight or not to fight is in your mind.
For all of our satellite and drone technology, we have no indication of such a kingdom existing anywhere. So we are going to ask you one last time. Where is this Shambhala?
Of course you can't find it. It's a parallel universe. An alternate bilateral dimension. Or, if you insist on GPS coordinates, it's somewhere north of the Himalayas. Just find Mount Kailash. Go north. Maybe also west. Keep going. You can't find anything in the desert there. Don't worry. Just keep going.
Enough of this. Our intel people demand to know what everyone in Shambhala does.
Everybody works together. There's no fighting. They care for their environment. And in turn, nature protects them. There are no poor and no extreme rich. Everyone gives and takes care of everyone else. There is an understanding that everyone and everything is interconnected as part of a universal matrix with a shared common destiny. Everybody works together each day to help each other and try and make the next day just a little bit better. That might be really hard for you guys to understand.
We are very interested in this technology being developed in this Shambhala.
Shambhala has the most advanced technology. However, they don't use it for war, and they don't use it for spying on people. They use it to understand the universal quantum hologram through observation of atmospheric phenomena, sometimes in other dimensions and realms. They also use their technology to keep the environment clean and assure that nobody gets sick, and those who are get cured quickly. Medical care is free because the state believes it's the basic responsibility of the government to take care of people and not let them suffer. Does that seem strange to you?
I don't believe your Shambhala technology is so
Bir
simple.
daha aşağıda basayım.
Our intel people tell us that Shambhala is planning some kind of revolution against our greed-based system. They want to herald in a new era of economics based on compassion and not materialism. This threatens the very foundations of our beloved capitalism. Do you realize our global capital system today requires the invisible hand of greed to guide markets? Without fostering hate, how can our military-industrial complex advance technology? Look at us. We are the richest country in the world. Without anger and jealousy, how can our social media industry create so many clicks and accumulate so much capital for debt markets that will assure the indebtedness to our system for generations to come, who will keep clicking and supporting these capital markets?
There is some kind of Shambhala army being assembled to fight against greed, hate, and jealousy. Our
Eşitler.
intel has picked up some email correspondence to this effect.
Nobody uses email in Shambhala. They consider it to be antiquated technology. Communication across vast distances can be achieved through mind power, intuition, and by placing messages of clear thought onto the electromagnetic field with just a coordinate.
Daha
It
aşağıda
can be
basayım.
done with a mantra that establishes a vibrational frequency, enabling that message to cross over vast distances with the speed of light.
We are picking up enough messages. Our intel has reason to believe that such preparations are underway to raise an army of Shambhala warriors.
Aşağıda basayım.
The army of Shambhala is preparing to fight against greed, anger, and jealousy. In Buddhism, these are considered the three poisons. Actually, it's all based on an ancient prophecy.
We're not just massage envy. We're also facials that get your skin glowing envy. We're talking, dang girl, you look good kind of envy.
Alright, tell me your secret and lunch is on me.
Because a regular massage envy facial routine is an amazing way to look better. Massage envy facials, where better begins.
Ultra running shoes make getting out there easy. Giving you more room for your feet. No matter what.
On an ancient prophecy. Your spy technology is being confused by receiving information through what we call retrocausality. So the events already happened, but the prophecy is just coming through now. You know, light travels very fast. You are receiving an experience light years away that already happened in a parallel dimension or a multiverse that mirrors our own. That is why this thing is destined. You can improve your intel by teaching all of your agents to meditate.
You are not cooperating. I told you there were two paths: cooperation and non-cooperation. One has a future. The other does not.
I'll give you an explanation, and I think it might be more accurate than the intel you're picking up I want that one phone call that I can make to my lawyer.
Very well. For the record, what is this Shambhala prophecy? Tell us, and we might be able to discuss some conditions.
The Shambhala kings don't negotiate. They hold all the diamond teachings, so there are no conditions. At least you're not in a position to negotiate. They are.
Now we're getting somewhere. So Shambhala is an alternative power structure to our empire. This is what our intel is finding out. Tell us more. We can consider leniency.
Okay. I will try to explain. Try to understand. Shambhala has 25 Kalki kings who reign for a period of 100 years each. The first Kalki king was Suchandra. He learned the Kala Chakra teachings from Buddha Shakyamuni and brought them to the kingdom of Shambhala, where they have been preserved and taught in their purest form ever since. In Shambhala there are no poor. Everyone takes care of everybody else. There is total respect for the natural environment that in turn protects the citizens of Shambhala. However, on our earthly realm, something else is happening.
Our global financial system works perfectly. Does your prophecy have anything to do with our future?
The prophecy goes like this. Some 2,500 years after the nirvana of Shakyamuni, Lord Buddha, we're in what's called the Age of Kali, or the Age of Destruction. That's taking place sometime like right now. The narrative goes that during the Kali Yuga, or Age of Kali, an empire rises in the West and tries to dominate the world, making all other nations conform with its guiding principles of unfettered greed, short-sightedness, and the fostering of anger. Outcomes are destruction of the environment, resulting in natural disasters and unforeseen epidemics that cannot be cured. The rich become richer and the poor poorer. 8 people in the world have enough wealth to feed 370 million people, but refuse to. In today's world, 1% of the rich people's assets combined is more than 99% of people's global assets aggregated. Those 8 people could end poverty, eliminate all student debt, transfer major energy waste from fossil fuels to green energy, socialize medicine for all, actually achieve the UN 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. But will they do that? Unfortunately, they won't. They want more profits from share price manipulation on capital markets, pumped up on debt buyback dollars that are invested in anger-fostering social media. Lack of gun control and increased racism leads to unnecessary violence. Intolerance and the empire's economic dependency on a military-industrial state that must be ever expansionary leads to endless wars and cycles of innocent people suffering.
Our intel keeps picking up information about these Shambhala guerrilla fighters. You seem to know something. Are they a terrorist organization? Where are they hiding? Who leads them?
The Lotus-born master, of course. In his prophecy, he will return as Raudran Chakran, holder of the Wheel of Time, the future king of Shambhala. And together with his 25 disciples and the army of Shambhala, he will this world of greed, anger, and short-sighted jealousy.
Mira, Adrasi.
Guess what? He's coming back.
Our intel has already picked up discussions about this Lotus-born master's return. We are very displeased with your involvement in all of this global revolution to overthrow our current order. We expect you to choose the correct path and cooperate with us further.
Sure. Would you like to know what's going to happen? It's not based on any of your intel, collective big data. It's based on a prophecy. Sword hidden in a cave. The Excalibur of the Himalayas. Whoever finds the sword is him, the Lotus-born master, who will return in Camelot style, leading his 25 disciples and the Knights of Shambhala to rid our planet of greed, hatred, and ignorance.
When is this going to happen?
It will happen in the age of Kali. Kali is the Hindu goddess of destruction. We are in the age of Kali right now.
To create our fastest, most stable driver ever, we speed-tuned every aspect of the new Rogue ST. Think speed. Go Rogue with Callaway, the kings of distance.
Vas a ver ahí, sí.
Certainly, the coronavirus prophesizes of unseen and incurable pestilence sparking this epic battle between a world of greed, short-sightedness, and anger, juxtaposed against one of compassion and harmony. While the last king of Shambhala opens the gates and our world can finally become Shambhala, a world of peace.
Your ideas threaten the very security of our system. So what is going to happen if this king of Shambhala actually takes power and displaces our system?
So one can imagine when the Lotus-born master comes back and takes his seat as the king of Shambhala. Guess what's going to happen? That he may very well abolish fossil fuels, promote green finance, tightly regulate the trading of derivatives, raise the capital requirements of banks, and eliminate student debt. He may insist that big data be used for smart infrastructure management, green energy grids, and real-time healthcare response, rather than for spying on people's personal interests to hijack their minds, as is the case today with certain big tech monopolies. He will certainly insist that technology needs to now be applied to green energy and healthcare solutions, not violent video games and anger-fostering social media platforms that only divide people against themselves. He would never approve of such misuse of technology. He may require that these technology platforms be used to disseminate online microfinance or mindfulness meditation training.
Da
is he hiding?
The Lotus-born master was born in the Swat Valley in the 8th century. He was king of Odiana, a tantra kingdom with priestesses who had psychic powers. It was the prototype for what we call Shambhala.
And so this Lotus-born master you speak of is from Swat Valley, Peshawar?
Yes, he was once the Lotus King, the king of Odiana, a tantric kingdom that existed between the 3rd and 8th centuries in the Swat Valley. It was the prototype of Shambhala. Everyone practiced Tantrayana. However, being king, ruling a kingdom, was not so interesting. He was more interested in power or energy on a quantum scale. The ability to change circumstances from negative to positive is far more powerful than just running a mere kingdom with all the problems of managing foreign relations, tax, anti-corruption scandals, all that sort of thing. Rather, the Lotus-born master wanted to help all of the world on its journey out from suffering. Now that is really hard to do. So he traveled across the Himalayas, living in India, Nepal, Bhutan, where he brought together all of the tantric practices of the time, and then went to the Tibetan areas across what is now Western China, establishing what we know today as Vajrayana or Tibetan Buddhism. Between 2017 to 2020, I led a series of expeditions following his footsteps. We learned, while he's recognized as the founder of Tibetan Buddhism, that he is also the father of quantum physics.
The father of quantum physics? What is this, some kind of New Age cult? Everyone knows that Newtonian physics requires consistent testing for scientific validity.
So the patterns of consistency mean that everything is the same. So there's no such thing as anomaly. So there are no possibilities of epiphenomena or instances of auspicious coincidence. Is that scientific? Science is not how the world works. Science is the abstract interpretation of naturally occurring phenomena, structured in a way for us to best understand it, because our own understanding of phenomena is...
A rebel took to the streets. He recruited others to join him. They quit their jobs, left their families, and swore allegiance to him. They roamed the hood, challenged authority, and made a lot of people uneasy. Community leaders feared them. Religious leaders abhorred them. Law enforcement labeled them outlaws. We have to shut them down, they said. Get them off the streets. Protect our communities from these troublemakers. But they weren't part of a gang spreading hate and terror.
Our own understanding of phenomena is so limited. This does not speak to the power of our science, but the fragility of our own minds. Aren't many of our physics and astrophysics, like our economics, just theories that a few years later are debunked and replaced by other theories? Much of this is driven by research grants, interests, commercial or political objectives funding those grants. So there's a refusal in the academic, media, and political worlds to look at things outside the box. You don't want people to observe and think, right? You just want to tell them what to think and program them to think it. The Lotus-born master not only teaches us to think out of the box,
know more about this Lotus-born master. Who is he? Where is he? And where is this army of Shambhala guerrilla fighters trying to overthrow our system of greed-based capital? We have the greatest technology in the world. Sooner or later, we will get their GPS location.
I told you, the Lotus-born master is the father of quantum physics. He had 8 manifestations that represent 8 quantum energy fields. With 8 quantum energy fields at his disposal, who needs your so-called technology? Stuff like Facebook, Twitter, and Bluetooth. Your GPS is still working within the boundaries of your own known sensory perceptions. What happens when we go into the unbound realms beyond your ability to perceive, process, or understand? You can't use big data, your spy sources, or even GPS to find the Lotus-born master and the army of Shambhala, because they are everywhere. They are among us. Everyone who wants to apply compassion with positive intention will join the army of Shambhala and overturn this empire and all of its techie tools and that tiny coterie of greedy individuals who are controlling the finance with their manipulation of stock prices, debt finance wars, and egotistic ambition to control everything and everyone on this planet. Sorry to tell you, it's not going to happen that way. Because we are going to change everything.
Amen.
Now, explain who this Lotus-born master really is.
The Lotus-born master spread Buddhism across the Himalayas by embracing local deities as protectors of the Dharma. He taught us that if you want others to accept your ideas, then you must respect and accept the local culture of those you want to communicate with first. Actually, it is only that simple. But some countries and leaders do not understand this and insist that everyone and everything follow their way. That's why we are in the age of Kali here.
I don't understand this. Are you trying to tell us that by accepting other people's ideas that you can actually convince them of your own? Impossible. Only the right can prevail over the wrong. There is no room for another view. Our system has an even playing field because everyone must play by the rules, and we are the ones who set those rules. Therefore, it must be fair. You're talking about magicians and miracles. Who believes in this magic?
The Lotus-born master worked miracles across the Himalayas, changing weather conditions through the use of mantra and a copper dagger. He stopped the rain. Where there was drought, he brought rain through his command of the Naga.
Naga? What is that? A video game?
The Naga are serpentine, subterranean deities connected to the elements of earth and water. They're very, very sensitive to any intrusion into the environment and can be irascible when provoked. However, they also have the power to protect, if so inclined to do so. Due to their emotional nature, they must be persuaded firmly but gently. On a purely science level, it is possible that they might be understood as entangling sub-chromosome forces inherent in the elasticity of space within Earth and water that can affect outcomes involving these natural elements. This may explain their tenacious irascibility toward intrusions or emotional outrage at any alteration of the pristine natural environment. It may also explain why when our multinational fossil fuel exploiting companies and political leaders don't listen to science's warnings about man-made climate change, why nature is now taking its revenge.
So if you can't figure out what's happening with all of your fossil fuel polluting multinational corporations and the politicians that back them, then just ask the Naga. They'll tell you pretty quickly.
So these are some kind of phantasmagorical dragons? Or something out of feudal fairy tales? Harry Potter? Lord of the Rings?
The Lotus-born master tamed the Naga without threatening them or hurting them.
It is only through fear and intimidation that order can be maintained. This is the first thing we learn at the agency.
The Lotus-born master earned the Naga's obedience and profound respect by removing the obstacles that were disrupting them. Then the Naga came and protected the teachings of the Lotus-born master. The Naga, however, listened attentively to commands of the Lotus-born master. Maybe it was his persuasive demeanor, possibly because they were acutely aware of how he eliminated obstacles and chained demonic forces menacing people's lives with the whisper of a mantra.
Now we're getting somewhere with this mantra stuff. We are aware that some of our most top secret information is being downloaded. Someone is hacking into our system. At first we thought it was the Russians, then the Chinese, then the Iranians, then we thought it was the Anonymous. Actually, we're beginning to suspect that this may be connected with you and this Lotus-born master. We believe you possess the ability to decrypt codes, these mantras or spells in your toolbox of magic tricks. Dare I say, ESP.
We've got a bit of an HR logistical circus going on here. We need to hire and onboard, I don't know, between 8 to 1,500 temporary staff ASAP. We need full-time, part-time, on-call, overtime, and overseas. And they need to be paid in 6 different countries accurately, on time, and anytime they want. All while I'm working from here. Or here.
It's not magic. It's simple science. An intention placed on a frequency through the use of mantra can travel long distances and affect outcomes in faraway places. That intention needs to be placed with utmost concentration, with commitment and belief in the outcome of that intention that supersedes the rational mind and can have the strength to pierce through any obstacles, existent or non-existent.
How can a person's thoughts and intention break through barriers? That makes no sense. So how can reciting a magic spell break through obstacles? This does not make any sense at all. The technology encryption we use at the agency through our social media proxy platforms does not work like that at all. So enough of your games.
Each mantra contains syllables that represent a code. Within these syllables are encrypted very deep meanings.
So you're telling me that sending a message through a mantra is as simple as sending a text message in a cell phone?
All you have to do is send a message through the mantra on the circuit board of the universal matrix.
What are you guys doing now?
Now, tell us how this encryption code stuff really works.
So the formula works like this. Step 1. Understand that mantra contains encrypted codes set for a specific energy represented by the deity that the mantra is attached to. Think of each mantra as a task-focused encryption. That's another way of looking at it. Step 2. Intention logs onto the mantra through visualization of the deity's mandala, a huge map of our universe, or maybe understood as a map of our own mind. Think of it as GPS coordinates when reciting the mantra. Step 3. The mantra serves as a password for entering that aspect of the field to carry the intention on the mantra that already has the encryption and the GPS point on the mandala mapping our universal matrix, which is already embedded in the matrix. Step 4. The sound waves through saying or chanting the mantra with ritual instruments are the vehicle for attaching and then navigating the intention plus encrypted meaning to the endpoint on the GPS coordinate of the universal matrix that we have fixed through the deity mandala visualization, something like flying a drone. Step 5. Then you just have to let the mantra, together with the intention and visualization attached to it, carry itself on the sound waves through the mandala, co-emerge with the universal matrix to be received by the unified quantum field, which in turn will respond ever so naturally. By the way, when you guys say GPS, you mean Global Positioning System. When I say GPS, I mean Galactic Positioning System. You need to think outside of our tiny planetary box. The space out there is much bigger than you realize.
I see. This mantra stuff is supposed to disrupt our space force. We have you on this. Now, tell us how this really works, and we might show you leniency.
Despite all of your surveillance and big data, you guys at the agency still haven't figured this out. Trust me, it's not so complicated. Experience proves mantras work if the intention is right. The rituals are an empirical outcome of the practices that have come down to us over millennia. Call these lineages, by the way. So these rituals, by virtue of empirical application, tend to be foolproof. Each mantra is associated with an energy in the universal matrix of the quantum unified field.
universal matrix is just a way of mapping the field. So we have longitudinal and latitudinal coordinates. These are for navigating courses through the matrix. But what we really are talking about is the underlying field. This is made of energy-constructed waves.
Oh yeah, she's right here. Hey, say hi to Grandma.
Not what you expected?
Hello?
You're still winning when you wake up with Thomas's.
Field. This is made of energy-constructed waves. Waves both exist and can be navigated through two means, sound and light.
We found a concealed weapon in his jacket. There is also another around his neck.
Concealed weapons.
No, these are not weapons.
Explain these concealed weapons.
They are not weapons. They are porba.
They look like daggers to me. What is this Shambhala army thing? We're putting an end to this whole thing, and to these rumors of this Lotus-born master.
I told you these are not daggers. They're porba. They're used for breaking through negative energy by altering the field. They're made of copper, silver, gold, and iron. Sometimes even meteorite iron. They can conduct energy. They can alter the field. Of course, copper, iron, gold, and silver all conduct electricity. You must know that. That is how our cable and cell technology work. How electricity lights up our cities through copper wires. So the metal with triangular sharp points helps to focus and shoot energy, projecting the mantra with code and intention as a package into the quantum field to a coordinate envisioned on the universal matrix. Does that make sense to you?
So this Lotus-born master uses these daggers to really disrupt energy fields? Like what? Magic wands? What's next? Witches and wizards?
Maybe something like that. The Lotus-born master had 5 Dakini, wisdom consorts, who worked with him on tantric yoga practices through which they were able to alter the field and turning demons into protectors.
What is this, some new age Burning Man sex yoga nonsense? What are these women called Dakini?
Actually, there were 5 wisdom Dakinis supporting the 8 manifestations of the Lotus-born master. When I was leading the expeditions across the Himalayas, searching to understand the quantum energy fields contained in the 8 manifestations of the Lotus-born master, the 5 wisdom Dakini revealed their own aspects of quantum energy. The Lotus-born master engaged in yogic practices with them to enhance an energy field so that together, in a state of non-duality, they could separate their human subparticle aspect into a rainbow body that could dissolve into the quantum hologram that facilitated navigating the matrix through the use of mantra, passwords to open the encrypted codes and utilize the applications that they reveal. That's how he did it. For all its complexity, it is just that simple. Actually, each of his 5 consorts, or wisdom dakini, represent each of the consort dakini of the 5 Buddha, covering 4 directions and central access of wherever we are at any time. Within the mandala of the 5 wisdom Buddha, actually each Buddha has a consort, each belonging to one of the 5 Buddha families. So each consort helps the Buddha to convert negative energy and circumstances into positive. So this whole thing about Eve being evil and tricking Adam is nonsense. Whoever was editing that version of the Bible made a huge and tragic mistake that has affected mankind ever since, and that's why women are struggling for gender empowerment today. Actually, they were the ones who were first empowered. Eve had liberating powers to help Adam realize his full potential as a human being by taking the negative forces and converting them into positive. That's the Dakini code. It's always been there. Actually, the Dakinis are everywhere, even among us.
I don't understand what this Dakini thing is, and frankly, I don't like it. Now tell me how it really works.
Dakini power ultimately is the emptiness factor, an unlimited repository of the magnetic field that allows accessibility to the universal hologram. Electricity cannot go anywhere without magnetism. The magnetic field is necessary for the light field to exist. Light is consumed by the black hole that gives birth to new suns. Kali, by its nature, is magnetic, all-consuming and destructive of everything. From destruction, birth arises. If Kali is the black hole, then the Dakini are derivatives of the event horizon, which is the ring of light where all information is stored. In this case, 5 represent the 5 colors of the rainbow that ultimately exist as white light of virtual clarity. So to have electromagnetic waves allowing us to access energies and navigate the clouds. To download information from the cloud, we must decrypt a set of encryptions. We need the Dakini code to do this.
What do you mean by all this sex yoga nonsense? You just spoke about astrophysics. How are these 2 things related in any way, shape, or form?
In Tantrayana, selfless sex is used to achieve a higher state of awareness and non-duality, allowing one to log on to the universal hologram, the quantum field. At that point, anything is possible.
So you're teaching some cult magic.
So what is really right? And what is really wrong?
Every perspective depends on where you stand and which direction you look in. Egotistic sex can be used in a destructive and self-destructive manner. However, selfless tantric union yoga can be a tool toward liberation of the mind from the ego of oneself and freedom to become one with the universe.
It all depends on your intention and how you want to use it. Everything is a question of perspective.
This is a lot of Oriental mysticism nonsense. Stuff from Circus Soleil. Hot, sweet, sour. That has nothing to do with our Western belief system.
No, on the contrary, look at Jesus. In your Bible, he was missing for 18 years. Have you ever asked, where was he? You have no idea where he was, but we have records all over India of each ashram he visited, eventually coming to Kashmir to study Tantra Buddhism. Much of what he taught is the same as Buddha's teachings. 3 jewels, the wise men from the East, the use of compassion, turning the other cheek,
These are ideas that existed long before Jesus. The Indian Emperor Ashoka sent many Buddhist missionaries to the Middle East, and there were networks of ashrams there long before Jesus was born. Remember the Trinity? You have God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Have you ever asked what these three things actually mean? In Buddhism, they're the three jewels. They're the three kaya. Dharmakaya, the nature of Buddhist mind, or the unified quantum field, which is the galactic depository of all information and energy in the universal matrix. Sambodhigaya is Buddha's speech or teachings projected through sound and light waves containing all necessary information contained in the emptiness of the universal matrix. Nirmagaya is the Buddhist body, the human world, or the community of practitioners, the appliance for receiving the sound and light waves so we can understand how to access the unified quantum field.
Your talk is blasphemy. Jesus performed miracles. He is the Messiah.
No. The word in Sanskrit is Mahasiddha. It means great teacher. Mahasiddhas had psychic ability. There were many Mahasiddhas, and many more to follow. Now let's talk about miracles. Yeshisogyal, the Tibetan consort of the Lotus-born master, brought the dead back to life. Bodhidharma, the founder of Zen, also walked across water. Yes, Jesus performed these miracles. They are about altering perception and circumstance through intentional ways and retrocausality. There are yogis all over the Himalayas who can retreat for a month without eating, or cure people with heat transmission from their lower abdomen. We call it Qigong in Chinese, Jialong in Tibetan. It is enhanced through consort practice yoga. Jesus had a consort, Mary Magdalene. He was practice yoga. In fact, all his miracles are common yogic practices. Actually, the Last Supper is a tantric ritual in which one envisions their body being slaughtered and cut up and fed to ghosts and goblins. It's not about you. It's about slaughtering your ego.
This is blasphemy.
Nobody wants to destroy your system of democracy or your little governments. It's about destroying the ego of your politicians and your CEOs. Because if we don't destroy their ego, they're the ones who are going to destroy this planet.
What are you doing? What's going on? So you're trying to tell us that our biblical rituals really come from Asia? From the Himalayas? From your tantric yoga crap? We will persecute you!
Same way you guys Jesus.
Exactly.
They tried to burn the Lotus-born master.
Exactly.
These things never So let's go back to the Last Supper and the chalice, that iconic wine cup. Yes, the Da Vinci Code told you something about it. So the Da Vinci Code is only half the story. They did not want you to know the rest. Why? It will disrupt their social institutions and the political interests that benefit from control. But what they did not tell you, how it is an ancient tantric ritual implement used in Buddhism and Hindu practices. The wine represents blood. The chalice, the female yantra, that is actually a vortex leading us back to the black hole, the vacuum where all information goes and where all creation arises from. The triangle represents Kali, the black hole that absorbs everything in a field of destruction that gives rise to creation. The interacting triangles represent the yin and the yang in an ever-changing interaction that forms the matrix of the unified field. It is the Dakini Code.
Your talk is ungodly, unbiblical. It threatens the very structure of our global financial system that we at the agency are determined to uphold. Talking about triangles, inverted triangles. Look at our dollar bills. It says very clearly, in God we trust. Now tell us, will Shambhala try to issue a competing reserve currency?
In Shambhala, there can be currency diversity. Nothing will be bound by national boundaries or currency, because everyone is united in freedom of the mind. Currency will be self-arising, because the value of money is only an illusion. What is the value of money? Money is just a manifestation of the collective karma of that country. Shambhala will have its own currency. It's called the mind.
We have reason to suspect that with your beliefs in Himalayan magic, that you perhaps do not share our beliefs, which are rational and based on a religiously uncompromising reading of the Bible, both Old and New Testaments. We are giving you one last chance. Do you believe in our national biblical religions, our one and only God?
I don't believe in any institution. I believe in a multidimensional, never-ending, never-beginning quantum configuration that knows neither space nor time, and that its foundational structure has no configuration at all. It is a matrix, one that is longitudinal and latitudinal, entwined and entangled upon itself, and ever-reaching in all directions at once, allowing auspicious probability to spontaneously arise when clear and positive intention is applied. So everything is happening here in the empty, endless space of this matrix simultaneously. This means that emptiness is quite full, but it's empty at the same time.
Full and empty. What is that supposed to mean?
All that arose in the past and that will happen in the future arises in the present. Actually, none of these things exist. As there is no same-time incidence that can ever be grasped or understood as the present. It is both a rational structure and irrational void, existing in perpetuity, simultaneously enwrapped around itself with tentacles expanding everywhere, endlessly, and always coming back to a center that does not exist. There is no center. We are always at the center of our existence, which is non-existent.
So you believe in nothing?
In this emptiness arises a boundless, endless space, which does not have a beginning and does not have an end. coincidences, because it is the realm of endless intersecting probabilities. That means that everything that arises or manifests is magic, and magic is the reality that is before us every moment. But never forget, that moment actually does not, did not, and will never exist. So cherish every moment. Now, try to find it.
Enough! He's too much of a threat to our society. These ideas can get out of control and become contagious. Lock him up! Only bread and water!
Can I request brown rice and dal? By the way, the Lotus Sport Master is coming back.
Your ideas are threatening our society. We're a revolution of some mystical land called Shambhala, bringing about a world of compassion and kindness to overthrow our global financial system based on the invisible hand of greed. Meanwhile, you claim that this Lotus Master is coming back to lead all this. We at the agency have been observing every one of your Himalayan expeditions, searching for Shambhala just as Rorik tried a century ago. We have reason to believe that you are trying to open the gates to Shambhala and bring about an alternative system to our own.
My sole motivation is to unlock the dimensions. To enter those wormholes that traverse time and space.
Traverse parallel universes within the metamorphosis of a dream. To decode those passwords, allowing unlimited access to knowledge stored in the cloud of our universal hologram. To decrypt the encryptions that reveal the trans-galaxy GPS coordinates so that we may together navigate the universal matrix.
You see, I'm sure that Shambhala is out there. I just want to find it.
Butchers and murderers become leaders of men. Unscrupulous self-seekers rise to high positions.